So today we're going to have initiation for many devotees. Some are taking first initiation, Harinam initiation, and some are also taking second initiation today. And there are some devotees who've already been initiated, but they didn't have an opportunity to sit in a fire sacrifice. So they will be participating in the sacrifice today also. I don't oftentimes do this. Usually I have somebody else do it, but I volunteered today. But we're going to first prepare, although I see a lot of the preparations already been done for me, which is appreciated. The sacrifice. And then we'll chant mantras, Vedic mantras. Primarily, usually we chant Brahma Samhita. And in this, I'd like to say a few words in requesting all of you to participate, not only in chanting of Brahma Samhita, but also whenever I'm busy doing things here, then you can also participate by chanting Hare Krishna. And actually, the chanting of auspicious mantras is called Swasti Vachana, which means chanting of mantras to create auspiciousness. And it's interesting that I have found a reference to Swasti Vachana in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is when Vasudeva requested Gargamuni to go to Vrindavan. Gargamuni is the priest of the Yadu dynasty. And he requested him to go to Vrindavan to see Nanda Maharaj. And many of you should know that there present in Vrindavan were Krishna and Balaram. And when Gargamuni came to Vrindavan to see Nanda Maharaj at Vasudeva's request, Nanda Maharaj immediately was thinking how he could take advantage of the presence of Gargamuni. And he asked him if he would do Namkarana, a name-giving ceremony for his two boys, Krishna and Balaram. This is also samskara, is a Namkarana, name-giving ceremony. And usually, whenever such name-giving ceremonies are done, they're done with great pomp and very elaborate ceremonies. And Gargamuni said, "Are you sure you want me to do that?" In fact, he said, "I think better we don't do it." He said, "Because everybody knows I'm the priest of the Yadu dynasty. And therefore, Vasudeva has sent Krishna and Balaram here to Vrindavan. And Vasudeva, of course, is a member of the Yadu dynasty. And if people, especially Kamsa, comes to find out that I'm doing a very elaborate name-giving ceremony of these two boys, he might suspect that actually maybe they're not sons of Nanda Maharaj and Yasoda, but that maybe they're Vasudeva and Devaki's sons." And Otherwise, why did Vasudeva ask me to come here? So he was saying that why should we do a very big, elaborate ceremony? And better we do something smaller. So then Nanda Maharaj understood that yes, if Kamsa finds out, especially Garga Muni was thinking that if Kamsa finds out, because he knows that it was already foretold that the 8th child of Vasudeva would be the cause of his demise. And therefore, he thought it wouldn't be very good for Kamsa to find out. So then Nanda Maharaj said, okay, let's do something small. Let's do Svasti Vachanam in the Goshala. Because if we do Svasti Vachanam, nobody will know. Just those who are present will know about it. And Svasti Vachanam means the chanting of auspicious mantras. He wanted to take advantage of Garga Muni's presence to chant these auspicious mantras for purification and definitely for the benefit of his 2 boys who were given their names, Krishna and Balaram, at the Namkarana ceremony. So, therefore, we see from this example that it is very auspicious to have Swasti Vachanam, chanting of these Vedic mantras, and it's something that everyone can take part in. It's not just me who will be chanting these mantras, but everyone can try their best to chant Brahma Samhita. And then when I'm doing other things, all of you can help create an auspicious atmosphere by together chanting Hare Krishna. And in this way, by creating, in fact, I remember Prabhupada, I think he speaks about it in the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada said when they were installing, in the installation of Krishna Balaram in Vrindavan, he said that many people in Vrindavan were very much attached to chanting of, especially the smartas, the chanting of Vedic mantras in order to create auspiciousness. He said, but actually, and not only that, but they wanted something very costly, a costly, very elaborate sacrifice to be performed. But Prabhupada said, actually, I considered more auspicious than this very elaborate Vedic mantras for installing Krishna and Balaram was the kirtan of the devotees who had kartal and mridanga. And I considered that to be much more auspicious than all the elaborate Vedic ceremonies which were performed specifically to impress the smartas, because the smartas were thinking that unless all these Vedic elaborate sacrifices are performed, then how can we accept the authenticity of these deities? Prabhupada said, no. He said, actually, I did this just for them so that they would accept it. But actually more important were the devotees chanting in kirtan. So, this is not just me performing the yajna, but it's all of you also, requesting you to participate. When I'm busy chanting some mantras and doing some things here, please, everyone chant Hare Krishna. So, with that said, I have to do a couple of small things right now. And then we'll chant Brahma Samhita. So please chant Hare Krishna together. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Very small.
Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Who's Achman? Agni Kahevani Duram Ami Yamarajam Kachantu Vidama.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Okay.
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Now we will chant Brahma Samhita. Please pass out the. It's not Brahma Samhita. Huh? Yes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadi Adi Govinda Savakarana Karanam Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha Laksha Viteshu Surabir Abhipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrahma Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venam Kvanantam Aravinda Dalayataksham Barhavatang Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandapakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandra Kalasadvana Marya Vangsi Ratnangadam Pranaya Keli Kalavilasam Syamam Chibanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vitimanti Pasyanti Panti Kalayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastu Koti Shatavatsara Sampragamyo Vayodatapi Manaso Muni Pungavanam Sopyasti Yat Prapadasim Yavachintya Tattve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Sauda Chayatam Jagaranda Kotim Yachaktirastya Jagaranda Chayayaranta Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yad bhava bhavita diyo manujastataiva samprapya rupa mahima sanayana bhusha shuktaryameva nigama pratitaistuvanti govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami ananda chinmaya rasa pratibhavitabis Tabirya eva nijarupataya kalabi Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhuto Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena Santaksidaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti Yam Shyama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ramadi Murti Shukala Niyamena Tishtan Nanavataram Akaro Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Svayam Samabhavat Paramapumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagaranda Koti Kotishvashesha Vasudadi Vibhuti Binam Tad Brahmanishka Lamanantam Ashesha Bhutam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Maya hiyasya jagaranda shatani sute Traigunya tad vishaya veda vitayamana Sattva valambi parasattvam vishuddha sattvam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajani Ananda chinmaya rasatmataya manasu Ya praninam pratipalan smaratam upetya Lila yatena bhuvanani jayat yajasram Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Golokanamni nijadamni tale chatasya Devi mahesha haridama suteshu teshu Te te prabhava nichaya vihitascha yena Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Shristi stiti pralaya sadhana shaktirika Chayeva yasya bhuvanani bivarti durga Ichanurupam api yasya chacheshtate sa Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Kshiram yatadadi vikara vishesha yogat Sanjayate nahitata pritagaste heto Yam samutam apitata samupaitya karyad Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Departure eva hita santanam abhupetya Dipayate vivita hetu samanudharma Yastadrik eva hicha vishnu taya vibhati Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Yakaranana vijale bhajati smo yoga Nidram ananta jagaranda saroma kupa Adhada shaktim avalambya param swamurtim Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Yasyaika nishvasisita kalamathalambya Jivanti loma vilaja jagaranda nata Vishnur mahansa hiya yasya kala vishesho Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Basvan yatashma sakaleshu najeshu teja Sviyam kiyat prakatayat yapidyadvadatra Brahmaya Esha Jagaranda Vidana Karta Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Pada Palava Yugam Vinidaya Kumbha Dvandve Pranama Samaye Saganardi Raja Vignan Vihantam Alamasya Jagatayasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Agnir Mahi Gaganamambu Marudishascha Kalastatatma Manasiti Jagatrayani Yasmad Bhavanti Vibhavanti Vishanti Yamcha Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yachchakshur Esha Savita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Rashesha Teja Yasya Gaya Brahmati Sambartakala Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Dharmota Papa Nichaya Shutayasta Pangsi Brahma Kadrika Tajiva Yadatta Matra Vibhava Pakata Prabhava Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yastvindra Gopam Atavendra Mahosvakarma Bandhanurupa Palabhajanam Atanoti Nirdahati Kintu Chabhakti Bhajam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yam Krodha Kama Sahaja Pranayadi Biti Vatsadya Moha Guru Gaurava Sevya Bhavai Sanchintya Tasya Sadrishim Tanu Apurete Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpataravo Druma Bhumischintamani Ganamayi Toyamamritam Kataganam Yatyam Gamanam Api Bangsi Priyasaki Chiranandam Jyoti Param Apitad Ashvadyam Paicha Sayatrakshir Abdi Shavati Surabhibyas Jasumahan Nimeshayadar Kyova Vajati Nahi Yatrapi Samaya Bhaje Sveta Dvipam Tamaham Iha Golokam Itiyam Vidantaste Shantakshiti Virala Charakati Paye. So do all the initiates have Achman? Now we're going to perform Achman. We'll chant the following mantra, repeat after me. First, you take the Achman cup. And take drops, put it left hand, put 3 drops on the right. Sip. Chant Om Keshavaya Namaha. Put 3 more drops and throw to the right. Okay? And repeat after me. Om Apavitra Pavitrova Sarvavastam Gatopiva Yak Smarit Pundarikaksham Sa Bhayabhyantara Suchi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. Okay, Actually, we should have done it the other way around, but it's okay. Take, again, 3 drops left, 3 drops right. Sip. Om Narayanaya Namaha. 3 drops. Throat. Okay, repeat after me. Om Apavitra Pavitrova Sarvavastam Gato Piva Yak Smarit Pundarikaksham Sa Bhayabhyantara Suchi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. One more time. 3 drops. Om Madhavaya Namaha. Okay. So that's why they're there, I guess. Now you figured it out. He was waiting to find out why they were there. Well, they just purified themselves. All right, neck beads for those who are getting first initiates. Finish this. Yes, somebody can help Yulin. Somebody can help Anand. Need some help over here too. Are we done? Okay. So I'm going to say a few words, and everyone can try to listen. I know it's not easy. Everybody's sitting here in anticipation. I was going to read a little bit, something I don't usually do, but I wanted, because I read something yesterday, and from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta at our Nam Yagya. And I wanted to read it today and speak a little bit from it, because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is speaking from a very important verse from Sikshastaka, which is something which I often speak about at initiation. Trinarapi sunichina toroha ivasihishnana manina maradina kirtaniya sadahari. I oftentimes quote this verse because those who are taking Harinama initiation, generally they are taking their vows and taking initiation because they've already undergone some period of chanting their japa, prescribed number of times, prescribed number of rounds every day. And sometimes people think that the goal is initiation. It is a goal. But Srila Prabhupada explains that initiation means the beginning. It's not the end. And therefore, sometimes devotees, in their eager anticipation in order to achieve one of the goals as initiation, and they may forget that initiation is the beginning, it's not the end. And then when they begin undergoing some difficulties, some tests in their lives, some changes, then somehow to go on chanting those 16 rounds every day becomes difficult. Although when the goal was initiation, they were able to get through it. But then after initiation, when the difficulties come, and sometimes people say, why all these difficulties come? I thought I was going to get initiated, and that was it. That was like, back home, back to Godhead. But no, it's not like that. Prabhupada says it's the beginning. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya has given us this very important verse from Sikshastika, which he says that we should string on the thread of the holy name and wear it around our neck for constant remembrance. And that is Trinadapi Sunichina, Toror Ivasi Hishnana, Amani Namadaneda, Kirtaniya Sadahari. That if we want to be able to Kirtaniya Sadahari, to go on chanting, always, Sada, always chant the holy name of Krishna. Not just whatever is required to get initiation, but then after initiation. And to go on, because actually the holy name of Krishna, stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna mantra hoite, habe, what is it? Samsara mochana. Krishna mantra hoite, habe samsara mochana. Krishna nama hoite, pabe Krishna racharana. This is actually Lord Chaitanya. It says that by chanting the Krishna mantra or the Gopal Gayatri mantra, then samsara mochana, one gets free from material contamination or samsara, repetition of birth and death. But for a devotee, that's not the goal. Krishna nama hoite, pabe Krishna rachana, charana. But Krishna's name brings one to Krishna's lotus feet. Such is the power of Krishna's name. So, if we want to go all the way to Krishna's lotus feet, we have to Kirtaniya Sadahari. Of course, mantra, Krishna mantra, purifies from material existence, but also it gives us help to chant Krishna's name, because in the Gayatri mantras, Gopal Gayatri and other mantras, Krishna's name is present. But not only is Krishna's name present, but Krishna's name is invoked by bija mantras. And the bija mantras have special potency, especially because the bija mantras, which are there in the Gayatri mantras, they actually represent deities. And we get their mercy also, such as Krishna and Balaram and Radharani. So, we certainly do not diminish the Gayatri mantras. They are very important. And we'll explain a little bit about that later. But the name of Krishna ultimately is what brings us to Krishna's lotus feet. So, therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta used to say that this Trinadapi verse, which I just quoted, and something has to be done? No? Oh, I thought something had to be done. Okay. This Trinadapi verse that I just quoted is the Siddha Pranali for all Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Siddha Pranali means it's the means to achieve Siddha, perfection. So, we place a lot of importance on this Trinadapi Sunichana verse. And Lord Chaitanya himself placed importance and said we should string it on the thread of the holy name and wear it around our necks for constant remembrance. So, when I read this yesterday at our Nam Yagya, I was wanting to speak a little more, but because the program was arranged that I wouldn't, I'm going to speak a little more today from it. And I'll read it again also. And as I said, this is from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he says, he's answering a question, how should we call the Supreme Lord? Because chanting Hare Krishna is calling. Prabhupada says, like a child calling for his mother. Helpless. It's a calling. So, he says that Sri Gaurasunda taught us that in order to chant the Lord's holy names, we must become lower than the straw in the street. This is a big test already. I only read the first sentence and it's already a challenge for many. Because lower than the straw in the street means I have to think myself pretty low. And of course, many other things are connected with lower than the straw in the street. It's lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than the tree. Just like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, that if a tree is drying up, it doesn't ask anyone for water. And if a tree has its branches broken, it won't complain. And we have to be more tolerant than a tree. So, that's another big challenge. How to be more tolerant than a tree? He speaks about tolerance here in a different way. Although I'm speaking also according to what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami speaks about in Chaitanya Charitamrita about tolerance of a tree. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta gives a very interesting, as we read yesterday, and we'll read it again, explanation of what does tolerance mean. Does anybody remember if that was there yesterday, what he said tolerance was? Just checking. Yeah, well, he just said, I'm going to read it, but I'm just curious if anybody remembered. No, I just read it, I didn't speak about it. I didn't expect anybody to remember, so don't worry. But maybe after today you'll remember, because I'll speak a little more about it. Pierre said he wasn't there, otherwise he definitely would have remembered. He was tolerating something else in the other room. room full of children. Well, he was doing his magic tricks. So first, we must become lower than the straw in the street. And then he says, unless we consider ourselves insignificant, we cannot call upon another for help. Only when because generally a proud person will think, I'm not going to ask anybody for help, I'm going to do it myself. Right? If I ask somebody to help, it means I think they have something more that I don't have, and they have to help me. So why should I call out for help? In fact, Prabhupada says that's what differentiates the Vaishnavas from all other so-called transcendentalists, is that the impersonalists think that I'm not going to call out for help, I'm going to do it by my own strength. They think, well, I don't need anyone's help. By my study of knowledge, my mental speculation, by my intelligence, I'll be able to come to the absolute conclusion and actually become free from entanglement of the clutches of the illusory energy. But the difference between the impersonalists and the personalists, the devotees knows that I can't do it without help. I'm a fool if I think that I can overcome the illusory energy, which Krishna says, Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya durati. I says it's my illusory energy. Not only that, but she works very perfectly according to my direction. Maya dakshina prakriti suyate sacharachara. She's empowered to keep the living entities covered according to their attachments and to their desires. And if I think that by my own efforts I can overcome the influence of the illusory energy, I'm a fool, quite frankly. Because Krishna says, Maya, she's my energy. And when I say to Maya, leave him alone. Leave her alone. She's now under my protection. He's under my protection. You don't. No more. You don't have to. You've done your service. They've taken shelter of me. Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya duratiya. They've taken shelter of me now. So now that they've taken shelter of me, so Maya immediately removes her influence on the living entity simply by Krishna saying, she's mine, he's mine. We need help. We need Krishna's help. We can't do it alone. He's the creator of the illusory energy, which has caused us to forget in the first place. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says, unless we consider ourselves insignificant, we cannot call upon another for help. Only when we pray for another's help do we consider ourselves helpless. Right? Prabhupada says, like a child crying for his mother, helpless. Child doesn't know anything. Ah, all of you have had children before, you know what happens. A young baby can't do anything themselves. They're helpless. But they do know how to do one thing very well. They know how to cry for help. And of course, generally, parents respond. So Prabhupada says we have to chant like a child crying for help. So Prabhupada says that only when we pray for another's help can we actually consider ourselves helpless. Of course, a devotee is helpless, but an important thing when we're saying this, even though we're helpless, a devotee is never hopeless. It's one thing to be helpless, but it's another thing to be hopeless. But a devotee is never hopeless, because a devotee always has firm faith that if I take shelter of Krishna, I have hope. If I take shelter of Krishna's devotees, I have hope. If I take shelter of Krishna's name, I have hope. A devotee never feels hopeless. A devotee never thinks that I'm too fallen for the holy name to deliver me. Why did Lord Chaitanya come? To deliver the most fallen. You think you're below the most fallen? Oh, I'm more fallen than the most fallen. No, but Lord Chaitanya came to deliver the most fallen. And Lord Chaitanya very kindly comes and delivers this name. So the devotee is never hopeless, but helpless. Feels helpless. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says something very interesting. He says, we will feel it impossible to do that thing alone, which is meant to be done by 5 people. Right? In other words, as soon as we get challenged, oh, I can't do that. It's impossible. I can't do it. But actually, if Krishna's ready to give us help, we can do 5 people. We can do. Prabhupada says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, very interesting. He says that sometimes it is seen that a devotee of Lord Chaitanya can do even more than Lord Chaitanya by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And he says, just like Lord Chaitanya came to deliver so many living entities by the holy name, and he delivered the classes. Prabhupada says Lord Chaitanya came to deliver the classes, but Lord Nityananda came to deliver the masses. And he said that Lord Chaitanya was not, he was ready to punish Jagai and Madhai for their offense. He was going to punish them. He was going to sever their head from their body. But by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, who was a servant of Lord Chaitanya, they were delivered. So Prabhupada says, sometimes it is found that even a devotee of the Lord can do even more what the Lord himself can do by the mercy of the Lord. So we feel it's impossible to do it, but nothing's impossible. Prabhupada says impossible is a word in the fool's dictionary. Nothing is impossible for the devotee when he's depending on the Lord. But we have to feel helpless. Sri Gaurasundar has instructed us to chant the Lord's names. We get this information from our spiritual master. To chant the Lord's names means to take his help. His, capital H, Krishna's. But while chanting, if we consider him our servant, or expect him to do our work, then there's no question of our living in the conception, I am lower than the straw on the street. In other words, okay, Krishna, you do this. I'll call out and I'll sit back and wait till you do it. No, devotee has to endeavor. Prabhupada always uses Arjuna as the example. Tasmat saveshu kaleshu mama nusmaradyujacha, as Krishna says. He told Arjuna to engage in your prescribed duties in fighting, but at the same time, think of me. With your acts dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you'll come to me with this. So no, we have to perform our duty. But at the same time, we depend on Krishna and we call out to Krishna. So we should not think that by calling out Krishna, oh Krishna, you should do this. Sometimes people think, oh Krishna, you should relieve my suffering. Why haven't you relieved my suffering? I've been calling you for so long, and you still haven't relieved my suffering. Isn't it? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says, no. We shouldn't be calling Krishna to be our servants. We're calling Krishna, let me serve you. It's the service itself will relieve our suffering. It's the service that actually brings our consciousness beyond our identification with this world and helps us go to the lotus feet of Krishna in our consciousness. That relieves our suffering. So we should not, he says, to chant the Lord's names means to take his help, but while chanting, if we consider him our servant or expect him to do our work, there's no question of our living in the conception, I am lower than the straw on the street. In other words, we should think, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve. If Krishna is so kind, I don't even deserve, but so look at what Krishna has done. Even though I didn't deserve it. That's how a devotee thinks. An external display of humility is not necessarily genuine humility, but cheating. Sometimes devotees like to compete. Who's more humble? We have to be careful not to fall into the trap of competing for humility by wanting to display our humility without actually being humble, but being more interested in how people perceive me as being humble. This is humility, though. thinking oneself lower in the straw on the street means we see everyone else as Prabhu. Everyone else is my master. Therefore, how fortunate I am to be given an opportunity to serve them. This is humility. I'm so fortunate. Gopi Bharta Dasa, Gopi Bharta Parakamalayor Dasa, 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 Anudasa. Lord Chaitanya has taught us that this is the mood, that if I could become the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, however many times removed from Krishna, that's my opportunity to serve. So an external display of humility is not necessarily genuine humility, but cheating. Our call will not reach the Lord if we call him as a master calls his servants. He is supremely independent and not under anyone's control. Unless we transform, of course, we know he's under the control of his devotees who have pure love, but we're not going to. Not under anyone's control means that we can't control him by demanding anything from him. Only love will control Krishna, and love means we don't demand anything from him. Unless we transform our false ego and become sincerely humble, our prayers will not reach the supreme, independent Lord. One more point. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is saying this. It's not my point, it's his point. One more point. We have to remember that while humbly chanting the Lord's name, if we do not become tolerant, our chanting will remain imperfect. Now please listen, my dear Prabhus, how he defines tolerance here. If we display our intolerance by being greedy for particular objects, then we are opposing the principle of humility. If we have complete faith that the Supreme Lord is the absolute truth, and by chanting his names we will not experience poverty, we will have no lack of tolerance. As soon as we become greedy and try to exhibit our impatience or our own skill, we cannot call the Supreme Lord properly. In other words, he says we have to tolerate. Tolerance means to not become greedy for material things. We have to tolerate and think that, oh, Krishna hasn't given up. I have to make a special endeavor by my own skills, by my own power, by my own will, my own determination. He says, as soon as we become greedy and try to exhibit our impatience or our own skill, we cannot call the Supreme Lord properly. As Queen Kunti says, Janma Ishvaya Shuta Shabir Edamana Madapuman. He says, my Lord, your Lordship can only be approached by those who are materially exhausted. Those who are on the path of material progress, trying to improve themselves by respectable parentage, bodily beauty, great wealth, high education. They cannot approach you with sincere feeling. They cannot sincerely call out Krishna's name because they think, no, I have to get these things. I have to make my own arrangements. Yes, we should be thinking as we said before, we have to do, but ultimately, we have to depend on Krishna's decision. That is how a devotee engages in all activities. If Krishna decides that by my own efforts, I'm trying to become so happy, secure, comfortable, and it doesn't come, then the devotee, as Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says here, he says, very important point, if we have complete faith that the Supreme Lord is the absolute truth, and by chanting his names we will not experience poverty, we will have no lack of tolerance. We oftentimes give the example, because actually with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's commentary from Chaitanya Bhagavat, I'm not using this example to say that everyone should become beggars, but it's just an example about how a Vaishnava, a devotee who's completely surrendered, never experiences poverty. And that is the example of Shukumbar. who used to go out begging for rice. And when he would go out begging for rice, because he lived by begging, he would go only to the homes of the poor people. He wouldn't go to the wealthy people. He would only go to the homes of the poor people, and he would beg for some broken rice, broken grains, not even first-class rice, broken grains. And whatever he collected, he would accept that as his alms for the day. And he was always seen ecstatic, chanting Krishna's name, never in anxiety. And the worshippers of goddess Durga, they would ridicule him. They would say, look at this beggar. Why doesn't he look at us? Why is he spending so much time just doing that? Why doesn't he do something? We're worshiping goddess Durga and we live in opulence, and this beggar. They would ridicule him, make fun of him. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta explains that Shuklambara did not even understand the meaning of the word poverty. Didn't even know what it meant. Because he was always satisfied. Satisfied with whatever the Lord provided. So if somebody is always satisfied with whatever the Lord provides, how can they understand what poverty means? They only appear to be impoverished from external vision by those who don't understand what is real wealth. They don't understand that real wealth of a Vaishnava is not his, glitter. The real wealth of a Vaishnava is that the lotus feet of the Lord is in his heart. So therefore, Shuklambara, he was satisfied. So in the same way, a devotee, he's tolerant. He tolerates that even though everything doesn't come in the way I want it, he goes on chanting Krishna's names and accepts that, yes, I'll never be in poverty. I'll have. Maybe it not be what I want, but I'll have what I need. If they fully depend on the mercy of the Lord. No, Shuklambara only needed a few grains of broken rice every day. But we may not be able to subsist on a few broken grains of rice every day. But nonetheless, if we experience satisfaction within by experiencing the wealth of Krishna's lotus feet within the heart, we'll find that we won't need that much to be satisfied in this world. And therefore we won't have to over-endeavor to become what we think is satisfying, because the satisfaction will already be there by Krishna consciousness. And therefore the devotees, they tolerate these urges. I remember, first verse I ever learned, Matra spashas tukonteya sitoshna sukadukada agamapayano nityas tang titikshas bharata. You must have learned it too, right? I learned it in a parking lot, distributing books in the freezing cold. Krishna says one has to learn to tolerate these things without being disturbed. A non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course, like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, and one has to learn to tolerate without being disturbed. So this is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's one more point about tolerance, but then there's one more paragraph, and then thank you all for tolerating me too. I'm almost done. You're all very tolerant. Just see. We often think we are doing the Lord a favor by offering him prayers, that we could have engaged in some other activity than chanting the Lord's name. Here's another one. Well, I'm doing Krishna a favor. I had so many other things I could have done that I'm doing Krishna a favor by chanting his name, as if he's benefiting from it. Such a mentality is an example of a lack of tolerance. We need someone to protect us from such a mentality, someone to help us become lower than the straw on the street. We certainly need to take shelter of a person who will deliver us from sinful motives. Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, "Oh, Lord Krishna does not reject those who worship him under the shelter of the spiritual master. Others, heavy sentence, others simply die uselessly. Hare Krishna. That's the last sentence. So, anyways, this is a little elaboration on Trinadapi Sunichina. As we said in the beginning, that this is a mentality that we should try to cultivate so that we can go on chanting after initiation. It's not just simply chanting before, but it's also chanting afterwards. So some devotees are also taking second initiation. We were going to speak a little bit, but I'll speak just a few words about second initiation. And that is, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has described that what's called the Pancha Samskara, the 5 samskaras which are required as a part of bhajana kriya, engaging in Krishna service so that one can come to the platform of anartha nivrti. Anartha nivrti means cleaning the heart from anarthas, eradicating them. So in order to do so, one has to engage in bhajana kriya, and bhajana kriya means executing the activities of devotional service. And contained within bhajana kriya is acceptance of initiation. And therefore, which is essential, as we just said, others die uselessly. There's a verse that told, I can't remember it. Pranameva sarvabam vidivedava. That it is the duty of every living being to accept a spiritual master, inquire from him and serve. And this is a verse that Prabhupada would quote in one place. I remember he quoted that verse about accepting the spiritual master and taking a Vaishnava initiation. And there are 5 samskaras, pancha samskara, which begin with, first is called tapa. Tapa means austerity. Now there are different types of austerities that one can engage in, but generally when one comes to the idea of accepting a spiritual master, they perform some tapa, some austerity, and those austerities are basically following the regulative principles. No illicit sex, no intoxication, no meeting, no gambling. For those of you who are taking first initiation, I just told you the first half of your vows today. And it's also, actually it's, there's another, in other sampradayas, there's other forms of tapa. It also means putting on markings, tilak markings. In other sampradayas, sometimes what they do is they perform tapa by branding themselves with like a brand. And they put the tilak markings on their body. But we don't do that. Not necessary. We do tapa pundra. Pundra means applying tilak, or urdhva pundra. Urdhva means up. Right? Just like the Shivites, they put their this way, but urdhva pundra means it's this way. They put the markings upwards. It represents, of course, Krishna's lotus feet, or that the body is Krishna's temple. And by performing tapa and decorating the body, that one becomes supposed to become effulgent, actually. And in this way, one prepares himself for tapa, pundra, then nama. Nama means he's given the holy name, and he's given a name, also a spiritual name, which helps him or her to remember that they are Krishna's servant. So the nama represents both the holy name that they are giving, which they are chanting, supposed to be chanting, and then also they're given a spiritual name. Tapa, pundra, nama, mantra. Mantra means the next stage is to receive mantra Diksha. And these Gayatri mantras are meant also specifically so that one can engage in yoga, or actually which means worship of the deity. And Srila Prabhupada quotes, which is the fifth samskar, worshipping the deity. Tapa, Pundra, Nama, Mantra, Yaga. And Srila Prabhupada quotes Srila Jiva Goswami and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Specifically, he emphasizes that generally it is found that people have too many impressions from the past. It's very difficult for them to overcome these impressions from the past. And therefore, although chanting Hare Krishna in itself could be sufficient to bring one to Krishna's lotus feet, he said actually it is found that most people, it's also extremely beneficial to worship the deity. And therefore, in order to worship the deity, mantra is given so that one can actually worship the deity with proper mantras. And therefore, there is mantra, and then yajna is worshipping of the deity for purification. Again, to purify ourselves from our bodily identification so that the holy name can become that much more effective in bringing us to Krishna's lotus feet. So therefore, today some devotees will also be accepting this mantra Diksha. And these are just a few words about the mantra Diksha. And as we quoted before, that verse that the mantra, Diksha mantras are meant to help free us from material contamination so that we can actually become even better qualified to chant Krishna's names purely without offense. So they deliver us from this material contamination, and Krishna's name will take us to his lotus feet. This is a little we've talked about, which is the significance of today's initiation. And I suppose we should move on. And I think the next is to let the first initiates come and to take their vows, and we can give them their beads and to give them their names. Nama. Tapa Pundra Nama, the name. So we'll call the initiates to come one by one. They should offer their obeisances. Be very careful. Make sure you don't put your feet towards the deities. And take your vows. And we'll call first, I think these are Bhakti Yulins. Bhakti Yulin? I have a question for you, Yulan. How many years have you been chanting Hare Krishna?
How many years? I think I started chanting Hare Krishna in 1988.
Wow.
It's an important day for you?
Very good. It's the most important day.
Okay. So what vows are you taking today?
Today I'm taking the vows of the no meat eating and no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling.
And?
And 16 rounds.
It doesn't end in 2013. Every day too, right?
Every day.
Minimum.
Without fail.
Okay. And besides meat, also no fish, no eggs too. I'll just add that just to make sure. I know you wouldn't even think of it, so, but still. I'll put it in there for you. I hope you won't disagree.
I may be senior in age, but that's it.
Okay. So thank you very much. So today, on behalf of Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Parampara, I'm accepting you as an initiated disciple. And we are giving you your new name. Your new name is Yarunandan Das. The son of Yaru dynasty, Krishna. Huh? I didn't hear you? Oh, okay. Said he wants his bees, does it? We'll come together. Husband and wife together, we take the vows together. Although individually you can take the vows. You can sit there together. Licenses? Okay, Anand, what vows are you taking today?
No meat eating, including egg and fish, and no gambling, no illicit sex, and meat eating and gambling. No intoxication. And chanting 16 rounds every day. Minimum 16.
Minimum, thank you. Minimum 16 rounds every day. Okay. And you?
No illicit sex, no gambling, no meat eating, no intoxication, and chanting of the minimum of 16 rounds every day without fail.
Okay, thank you very much. So on behalf of Srila Prabhupada and Guru Parampara, I'm accepting both of you today as my initiated disciple. First, we'll give you your beads. Your new name is Ananda Vrindavan Das. And we have given you a name of Radharani. And it means loving youthful girl. It's the name for Radharani. And you are her servant. Your new name is Prem Kishori Devi Dasi. Bead bags? Yes, bead bags. Here, there should be bags. Hare Krishna. King Lydia. Actually, Lydia's husband is taking second initiation today, Paramahansa. But what vows are you taking today?
No intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling, and no fish, Thanksgiving, and no 16
behalf of Srila Prabhupada and Guru Parampara, I've given you a very beautiful name. Two very wonderful servants of Srimati Radharani are Lalita Vishaka Devi Dasi. Hare Krishna. Mila? What vows are you taking today?
No illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, no meat, fish, egg eating, and chanting 16 rounds very intensely.
How often?
Every day.
Thank you. On behalf of Srila Prabhupada and Guru Parampara, today I'm accepting you as initiated disciple. And we have given you a new name of Srimati Radharani also, who engages in a chanting pastimes. Your new name is Leela Mohini Devi Dasi. This is Lalita Prasad. This is yours. Okay? And today we also have devotees who've been initiated, when was it? A year and a half ago? They still haven't sat in the fire sacrifice. That is Lalita Vishaka's son, Krishna Dulal. And Akinchana Dan, whose wife Narayana Priya is also here, and daughter Anandamayi also here. He was initiated a year and a half ago. But they're sitting in the fire sacrifice. And then we have devotees who are taking second initiation today. Dayarupa, Malati Priya, Madhav Gopal, Tina Garanga, and Paramahansa. And Keshava Krishna and Nanda Vinodini also received mantras before, but they're sitting in on the fire sacrifice. So now, I guess we can continue with the fire sacrifice. And I'm going to have to do some things. And do you all know what you're supposed to do?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Loudly.
Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare,
Purusha Ganda Sambhava Samagye Namaha.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Pushpam Pushpa Namagye.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Idam Navedam Samagye Namaha.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashanti Suryo Diviva Chakshu Atitam Tad Vivrasa Vipanyanva Jagrivansa Samindite Vishnu Yat Paramam Padam Om Krishna Vai Sachidananda Krishna Adipurusha Krishna Purushottama Krishna Hau Kamari Mulam Krishna Sa Sarvai Karya Krishna Kasampi Adhishanukha Prabhu Pujo Krishna Nadis Tasmid Ajandanta Bhaye Yam Lavati Iti Omata Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashanti Suryo Diviva Chakshu Atatam Tad Vipasa Vipanyavo Jagrivansa Samindite Vishnu Yat Paramam Padam Aham Kartur Aham Yagya Swaram Aham Amasudham Mantraham Aham Emyajam Aham Argya Aham Emyajam Aham Argya Aham Hudam. Give me just a couple of sticks. About four. Four.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Papo Aniruddha Pasubhayagyam Pasubhayagyapatim Bhagaya Patasarva Bhutastha Ketapo Ketam Napanatu Bhagisha Bhaksham Nasvadatu.
Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Om Bhuva
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Swaha
Hare Rama,
Om Bhuva Swaha
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Idam Vishari Idam Brahma Idam Vachitaya Idam Swaha Swa Swaha Idam Narayanaya Idam Bhava Om Bhura Bhuva Swaha Idam Anantaya Idam Bhava.
Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama.
Okay. Mangala Charana. Okay. You can stop. We're now going to chant the Mangala Charana prayers. and everybody should repeat after me. And when I say svaha, you throw your grains into the fire. You take it with your thumb and fourth finger, and a small amount into the fire. Not like this, like this. Okay? All right. Everyone ready? Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Svaha 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 Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Svaha 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 Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamvitamscha Svaha 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 Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane Svaha 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 Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Svaha 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 Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namane Madhuryojvala Premadya Shirupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarane Rupanuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harane Svaha 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 Namo Gaurakishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Risambode Padambujaya Te Namaha Svaha Swaha, Swaha, Namo Bhakti Vinodaya, Satchidananda, Namane, Gauda Shakti, Swarupaya, Rupanuga, Varayate, Swaha, 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 Gauda Vibhava, Bhumestvam, Nirdeshta, Sajjana Priya, Vaishnava, Sarvabhauma, Shri Jagannathaya, Te Namaha, Swaha, 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 Vancha, Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa, Sindubhya, Evacha, Patitanam, Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha, Swaha, 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 Namo Maha Vadanyaya, Krishna Prema, Pradayate, Krishnaya, Krishna Chaitanya, Namane, Gauratushe Namaha, Swaha, 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 Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Swaha, Swaha, Swaha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Swaha, Swaha, Swaha. Jayatam Surata Pangor Mama Mandamatir Gati Matsavasva Padamboja Radha Madana Mohana Swaha, Swaha, Swaha. Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpa Jumada Shimad Ratnagara Singhasanasta Shimad Radha Shila Govinda Deva Peshtalibi Sevyamano Smarami Swaha, Swaha, Swaha. Shiman Rasa Rasarambi Vangshi Vata Tata Stita Karshan Venu Swanar Gopir Gopinata Shri Estuna Swaha, Swaha, Swaha. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Swaha, Swaha, Swaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhara, Shivasadi, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Swaha, Swaha, Swaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Swaha, Swaha, Swaha. Okay. Now, all the initiates stand up. Take your banana in two hands and then repeat after me. I have to stand up. Can we move this? Just move this back a little bit when I stand up. But okay. If I can get up. I just talked over the Achman, but. Om Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Swaha. Place your bananas into the fire, and whatever grains you have left over, also throw them into the fire. No, that's okay. Leave that there. Okay? Repeat after me. Om Purnam Ada Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Deva Vashishyate Svaha. Jao Shanti Antariksham Shanti Prithvi Shanti Apa Shanti Vayu Shanti Teja Shanti Vasodaya Shanti Loka Shanti Brahmana Shanti Vaishnava Shanti Shantirastu Jyotirastu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Somebody can lead kirtan, and then Krishna Dulal, why don't you lead kirtan? And then we have to circumambulate the fire, so we have to move these things. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Starasata Sri Srimad is Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Nityalita Pavishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Starasata Sri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Navadip Mayapur Dham ki, Ganga Mayi ki, Yamuna Mayi ki, Tulsi Devi ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Sankirtan Yagya ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Go Premananda. All glories to the assembled devotees. Glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Garanga. You can mix the ashes. Take a little. Okay, Kirtan? No, not yet. Yeah. We'll just circumambulate. We'll should circumambulate in front of the D's. It'll just be 5 minutes maximum, and then our tea.